Well, she's here. Mama Busy.
Hey, what's up? Well,
have you slept as little as I have?
no, I haven't.
You've had a good night's sleep,
feels
eh?
like today is not today. It's like just a continuation of Sunday. Truth.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't slept at all.
I was really awakened at about 11 with all of these rumors flying
look
about
for where
that
Namwan
has been arrested. And I've been sent to go and find him. So as you can well imagine, I've been pumping my sources all night trying to get. It was a problem because in Dubai, at the time the story broke, it was something like 2 a.m. there. So it was very difficult
to speak to
yes,
there.
indeed. I did wake a few people up, but there didn't
Nothing.
seem to be much information. We're still pumping.
I think it was like 100 of us trying to work out various sources out to get some confirmation, some independent confirmation, which we have not. And I'm sure our viewers would understand.
The government officials we have spoken to, or our colleagues have spoken to, are saying that there are conflicting reports. But I don't know what that means. Who is reporting to our government? We have a mission, in that country. So who is reporting to our government, and why are there conflicting reports? Where would they be coming from in order for them to conflict? You know what I mean? There should be only one official communication channel from there to here.
And that will be our embassy, right?
Yes. Yeah. But it appears that there are conflicting reports.
Maybe what we can do to help our viewers, just so they know that we've heard all the things flying around, we'll just bounce a few of the things that we have heard, but we cannot independently confirm in the course of our review this morning.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, but of course...
Maybe our MPs joining us this morning will know something.
Yes, that's one option. But, I mean, you need to stay with us anyway, because now they're awake. And so we will definitely be bringing you information right here. So stay tuned. If you want to know what is true and what is not, then, well, this is the place for it. So stay with us.
It's interesting how Nana Appiah Mensah has given us something to talk about for like 3 weeks straight now. Indeed. Probably a bit longer than that. You know, Mensgold has been an issue on our minds for a long But,
time.
we talk about it and then we leave it and then we come back to it.
That's true. But we've been on it constantly for a few weeks. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, yes.
Okay, we'll see how much of Namwan is making the news headlines this morning in the various newspapers. We've got the Times, Daily
got lots
Guide,
of them here.
the Finder, the Dispatch Today, and the Daily Graphic. So let's start.
Yeah, I'll do a few. Ghanaian Times first. Yana and Danny's funeral underway in Yendi as peace returns to Dagbon. Tema Port Marketing Public Affairs Manager murdered by unknown assailants. It's a lady I've met a couple of times. I'm so sad to hear this. 4 die in auto crash on Tema Afao Road. And all health facilities ordered to increase surveillance for meningitis infections. An important story there. Also, protocol pass first Coton sports test. And NIA begins registration exercise in Ga East tomorrow. Now to the Mensgold saga, which is the big headline on the front page of the Daily Guide. Now this is how they put it. Mensgold saga, search for Namwan deepens, sighted in Dubai. Also, government resolves NABCO glitches, Yana funeral resumes, and PMMC boss dead. Kojo Parry Hammond, of course, is the one being discussed there. First Sky fights road crashes with 1 million Ghana cedis, and we reported that on the news. Also, President endorses GNPC, Ghana fastest Tokyo 2020 initiative. Also, Minister extols NYA boss. That would be Mr. Emmanuel Asigri, being extolled by the Youth and Sports Minister Isaac Isiama. And Kotoko grab vital away win. Shall I do one more? You'll do that one. I'll do this one.
I'll do the graphic and the Finder.
Very good. Then I'll do the Dispatch, which says how ethnic groups are spread across the 10 regions. There's a story and a chart to educate us. And we will explore more innovative ways to deal with waste. Zoom Lion. And there you go. Also, on the back, meet jobless Jane who took 24,000 Ghana cedi loan to invest in Mensgold. I don't know why they're describing the lady as jobless Jane, but this is from Ghana Connect on the Joy FM radio station. There we go then.
Let's do the Daily Graphic newspaper. Front page, GES suspends PTA dues in senior high schools. We got a hint of this on our show last week. Yana and Danny's funeral resumes. Let's have consensus on development, according to Dr. Sipa Yankee. New Year school opens today, Kasapreko, to set up new factory in Ashanti region. Back page, PRC directs utility companies to justify demand for tariff increase. And government resolves NAPCO stipend challenges. Center spread, there's a special report. Kumewu Bomfobiri waterfall, first to be developed in districts but with infrastructure challenges. You can appreciate the feature in the center spread of the paper. Let's finish off with the final newspaper. Front page, another shocker. Amofa who was killed by police, not armed robber. According to CID report, the finder has got verifying details of the report on page 2. NAPCO resolves challenges of 9,235 beneficiaries. Cocoa Board takes on Mahama over cocoa price. Another tremor hits Wager, Botsiano. Public Affairs Manager of Tema Port stabbed to death. Josephine Asante, Marketing and Public Affairs Manager of Tema Port. There's a picture of her on the front page of the Finder newspaper. All right, Kojo?
Well, I think that story about the wrongful death is important. I think we'll have to talk about that in a minute.
Absolutely. I was just reading on it, and the finder is actually picking details of it from the police reports. Investigations have revealed that Emmanuel Amofa, 27, who was killed by police at Agbogba on suspicion that he was an armed robber, is innocent. Information gathered by the finder indicates that the report of the investigations conducted by the Criminal Investigation Department of the Ghana Police Service exonerating the victim has been submitted to the Attorney General's Department. So the investigations found that Amofa, who met his untimely death on Monday, April 16, 2018, was not armed and kept pleading that he was not an armed robber. The investigations corroborated the autopsy report, which indicates that Amofa was shot at close range by police at Agbogba. This means that the police could have arrested him even if he was a robber. And the reports or the paper says that according to information, the investigative report recommended an apology and compensation for the family, which is not entirely new, but it goes on to say that strangely, the report recommended more training for the police officers who killed the innocent man instead of interdiction and prosecution. They've got details, really lengthy details of the autopsy report, all on page 2, story by Elvis Dako, the editor of the Finder newspaper.
Now, I can tell you a little bit of a conversation I had with Ifyat Tingi,
the police PRO.
Police PRO. I wanted to know about the recent shooting in Teshi or some place near there, where an individual was shot. He was on the back of a motorbike with another person. He was shot. They claim he had stolen a mobile phone.
Yes.
So they had a press conference, and the victim of the stealing, the lady, said that she positively identified the two individuals. One of them is in hospital, the other one is dead. The police also say they found the mobile phones on the body of the person they shot. So it wasn't a mistaken identity. But I was obviously curious to understand why the matter was resolved with a shooting. This is a theft of a phone. So why do you shoot the suspect? I mean, if they are running away, pursue them. If you can't pursue them, put out a bullet, whatever, and let other people, search for them. But what is it? Police training that if you're chasing a suspect who is alleged to have stolen a phone, You are yet to prove that this suspect has indeed stolen the phone, but your police training allows you to shoot them dead. And, well, she was seeking to explain. She wanted me to speak to those in charge of police training for further explanation. But she was, you know, basically saying that, yes, if you are stopped by the police and you don't stop, they are allowed to shoot to harm. There is so much wrong with that. You know, so let's say I'm in a car driving along with my son in the back. Police stops me and I don't see, or I don't notice. Or perhaps I want to find a safer place to park, which has happened here in this country. They will actually shoot my car and possibly kill my son, who has nothing to do with what is going on. And that is their training. So the police are trained to kill us. You know, it's worrying. But anyway, she wanted me to speak further to those who are involved in the training for some clarification on this. But in essence, what she confirmed to me is that that's how they are trained. They are trained to shoot to harm or whatever, to injure, if you are trying to evade them. And it doesn't matter what you are evading them for, whether it's something as ordinary as they are stopping you at a barrier and you are not stopping when they ask you to.
You know, somebody was sharing something recently and was talking about how somebody she knew was stopped, and apparently the police people were after someone. It wasn't him, and they were stopping him. He didn't understand why they were stopping him. And so when he finally stopped, because initially he wasn't getting the signal, he wasn't getting the idea, and then he was insisting that it wasn't him that they were chasing. They were also insisting that was him, and the advice was, you don't argue with the police in circumstances like that when they're pursuing someone and they think it's you.
Because they are not rational human beings.
Just apologize and move on. You know, and I've just been reflecting on it. I mean, this could happen to anyone.
Of course.
Could happen to anyone.
Of course.
And sometimes they are angered and they describe you as trying to be book long. You think you know more than we do.
So you shoot someone for being book long?
So it's almost understand. As if when you meet them,
then they should go to Flagstaff House and kill everyone there.
You have to pretend that you're knowledgeable and just go with, oh, sorry, boss, even when you haven't really done anything.
So rather than them training the police properly, they want us to rather give up our rights.
I mean, this was not a police officer advising. This was just an ordinary person advising that the way some of them behave, when they stop you, you're better off apologizing for whatever it is that they think you've done than trying to defend yourself and insist that it wasn't me.
Yeah, I mean, to save your own life, that might be what you have to do.
It's a shame.
But that cannot be the permanent solution to this problem.
No.
You know?
And we're not saying all police officers do this. We're talking about some police officers doing this.
Well, they should not be in uniform. But I'm being told that's how they were trained. So can you blame them? If they've been told that if you stop a car and it doesn't stop, shoot into the vehicle. Doesn't matter whether there are babies in the car or not, just shoot into the vehicle because you must stop them at all costs. Imagine that.
It's a shame.
Anyway.
We'll wait for that further conversation with those who train them. Let's understand, because maybe sometimes it's just because we don't understand them.
Maybe.
So
maybe we're the ones who don't get it. All right. Now, so the Daily Guide has this interesting report on the search for NAM1. Now, it's interesting because of what we've heard overnight. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what the Daily Guide printed yesterday. The unannounced manhunt for the brain behind arguably the most scathing Ponzi scandal to hit the country has heightened. This comes on the heels of the now palpable bail jump by Nanapia Mensah, a.k.a. NAM1. Now, NAM1, who has disappeared from the radar of Ghana's intelligence community, and his numerous customers, strewn across Accra and Kumasi, is strongly believed to be holed up in Dubai after jumping bail under bizarre circumstances. So they go on. News about his Dubai rendezvous comes on the heels of conflicting reports on social media that he had been arrested in Enugu state of Nigeria and was on the verge of being repatriated to the country. NAM1 is reported to have been involved in blah, blah, blah. Another gold-related scandal in Dubai, a report which was picked from non-local sources. So you start to see that there is a certain alignment of this story, which was printed we have to bear this in mind. They went to print, last night, okay? And it can't have been at 11 when we started picking up the stories of Namwan's arrest.
No.
Okay, so there was somebody at the Daily Guide who had received information that
because after
he was
all,
in
we're
Dubai.
told that he had been arrested, I think, on Saturday.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So
what you're trying to go with this angle of
no, I'm just trying to put them next to each other and see whether there is truth in it, or whether, like Chinese whispers, one piece of information has now evolved into another. Okay, because they themselves say there are conflicting reports, and then they go further to say that a source told the Daily Guide that Iyoko has initiated measures to arrest the suspect, perhaps using Interpol to achieve this goal, which means at the time they wrote this, they didn't have information that Namwan was under arrest in Dubai. Meanwhile, one of the conflicting reports suggests that he was arrested as far back as December.
Yeah.
When I heard that, I wondered whether the person given that information was offering that as an explanation as to why he hasn't been seen on the shores of the country for such a long time and hasn't responded to any of the calls of his customers to come back because perhaps he's been locked up.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Well, so essentially this angle in the Daily Guide is the one that we've heard, that he was involved in this gold dealings with some persons in Dubai.
That's right.
And those persons reported him to the Dubai authorities
for
possibly or allegedly defrauding them. And that's why he was arrested in Dubai.
Right.
That's what we've heard. So this, and that's why the stories that you read on this will not say that it's based on what has happened in Ghana. That's why he's been arrested. So this is something that's happening totally in a different place.
Yes. And we are picking up details of this supposed gold deal as well. All of these are yet to be confirmed by us here, but trust me, the confirmation will come from here. So stay tuned. Essentially, the suggestion is that he had some sort of deal, gold deal with some people in Dubai. He was brought in as a supplier, and then they discovered that there was some other supplier who could give it to them cheaper. They went to that supplier. The supplier defrauded them. They came back to Namwan. Namwan supplied them, but somehow they gave him some details with which to retrieve his payment. Those details were inaccurate, so he ended up going all the way to Dubai to retrieve this money. And when he got there, they caused his arrest. And the reason was that he's also Ghanaian. Therefore, so if this is really true, how has he not made bail? How has he not resolved the matter by now? I think it should be easy to prove if he is indeed not involved in this alleged deal that went wrong. But well,
I'm just thinking, all these stories coming out because we seem to be fascinated by this one man, number one. Are we just so crazy, like we want to see him arrested? Or we want more news stories on him, so we're having to come up with all these theories every day.
It's fascinating. You say that he's preoccupying us, and you're so right. Look, last night, middle of the night, I went, well, not middle of the night, but sometime around 8 o'clock or whatever. I went to the cinema with some friends to watch Aquaman, and we were watching the thing, and one of his superpowers is that he can communicate with fish, right? And I was just watching it and thinking, if he was in Ghana, king of the fish, they would have called him Namwan. Why was I thinking about Namwan, while watching Aquaman? But you're right. He's definitely become a national preoccupation.
Yeah. Sometimes we kind of need something else. Yeah. Okay, so that's about it with Namwan, yeah?
More details to come. More details to come.
Okay, let's do this on page 3 in the daily graphic newspaper. The Ghana Education Service has suspended the collection of levies under the auspices of parent-teacher associations in all public senior high schools and technical vocational institutions. The directive is to enable the GES to streamline the review and review all such PTA levies in all public SHS and TVET. In an interview in Accra last Friday, the Director General of the GES, Professor Kwesi Opoku-Amankwah, noted with serious concern the proliferation of various levies under the guise of PTA levies. These levies are defeating the objective of the government in removing costs as a barrier to secondary education in Ghana, he stated. Some heads of senior high schools are said to have circulated letters to parents stating in part that their children would not be allowed to attend classes if they did not pay their PTA dues. So there's a background to this reason why this has been scrapped. PTA dues. So essentially, if your child is in the public senior high schools, as a parent, you're not allowed to pay any levies, no PTA dues. That's the directive from the GES. We're not sure, because I know that in some of the schools where they feel they have to continue to keep the standards because of the name that they have earned for themselves over the period, some of these dues allows them, because they would say that, oh, you know, government subventions don't come in early, so we need to be able to cushion ourselves, and it is through the PTA that they're able to do some of these things. So I don't know how this is going to affect them. What heads, because we've seen some heads being punished for collecting fees that the GES has said they're not allowed to take. So I don't know.
But I thought it was always the case that PTA dues would be at the discretion of the schools, and that was the way by which old students were supposed to be able to support their schools if they wished to, you know, and that was to be agreed between the parents and the teacher. I mean, it's a parent-teacher association. Yeah. It's not government parent-teacher association.
Yeah.
So actually, by what law is government able to stop a school from...
well, the schools are essentially under them, right? So it's Ghana Education Service.
But
the teachers and the heads are paid.
Teacher association.
Okay.
Right?
So this is what I have heard. Reason they're doing this is that some of the schools are imposing these levies on the parents
without
to the
agreeing
extent
with
that
them.
to the extent that if you're not able to pay, it affects your child.
Right.
So they can punish the child for the parent's inability to pay the dues.
I see.
And they say that this is between the school and the parent. It has nothing to do with the child. So no child should suffer for this. But I guess the reason they've done this is because they realize that it's still ongoing.
Right. So now that they've scrapped it, what is the alternative means by which
parents can support?
Yes.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. So essentially they're saying that the senior high school education is free. It has to be absolutely free. No parent will have to pay anything. Not even PTA. Yeah. But you know how it is. Teachers and heads of these institutions can't speak because, you know, you'll be targeted. So we're not sure how this is going to affect. But whatever it is, we will certainly get the effect of this in the coming days.
No doubt. Right. Shall we talk about the Tema Port Marketing Public Affairs Manager who was murdered?
Yeah, we should. Maxwell Agbagba will get us some fresh details.
But already
this morning,
the details are conflicting. You know, but rather worryingly.
It actually really scares me. And also in this area, this is not the first time that something like this is happening. In months, we've had quite a number of high-profile deaths, if I can put it.
So this is what the Ghanaian Times reports. She was stabbed to death in her home at MF's Hillview near Afienya. Now, this is the assailant, according to the story, after stabbing her in the room, locked it up, removed the bunch of keys and threw it on the compound. The body of the deceased, lying in a pool of blood, was discovered by her child. Oh, very sad. On Sunday morning, when he opened the doors. Now, this was after he waited for her to come to wake him up to prepare for church service as usual, but she never turned up. Several knocks on her door elicited no response, but the son accidentally discovered the bunch of keys after a while, and on opening the door saw his mother's body lying in a pool of blood.
And this is a 12-year-old.
Yes. He allegedly raised an alarm which drew scores of neighbors, including co-workers. And they say that nothing was stolen. Her laptop, computer, phones, jewelry, and other items in the room, you know, the attacker was not interested in them, didn't steal any of them. And of course, the incident, the police have conveyed the body to the police hospital morgue for preservation and, of course, for autopsy. But you see, here is where there is a conflict. The Ghanaian Times reports as follows. Josephine Asante, Marketing and Public Affairs Manager of GPHA, was reportedly shot to death by an unknown.
Oh, this is the first time I'm hearing the shooting.
Yesterday dawn. Now, but there is more detail, okay? She was found in a pool of blood with a gunshot wound at the back of her head. Okay, she was said to have been gagged with a pillowcase by the assailants. All right, so a lot of detail here.
In the news, in our news, was it the police officer narrating what, or telling us about what had happened? Because we brought an update in our AM news.
Who
is telling them this?
Who is telling them this? Can we play it back, please?
Kojo, who is saying this? Is it just the paper's narrative, or?
The mother of one was said to have been gagged. She was found with a pool of blood. According to reports, so they are not stating their source. Okay. Can we please play back that story from the news?
Whilst we try to do that,
yes, the death of Josephine Asante.
What I read. I mean, this is the first time that I'm hearing about this gunshot, because all the ones I've read have been knife wounds that she was stabbed to death, right, and not gunshots.
This is the first time you're hearing of the gunshots.
Yeah.
But it also says she leaves behind a son and a husband, who is a retired senior staff of GPHA, currently outside the country, which raises questions. They have details of her movements before she was killed. They say she returned home at about 1:30 a.m. on Sunday from a party, a staff party, which was on Saturday. And so she came home at 1:30. But unknown to her, the assailants trailed her. I don't know how they know all this. How do they know that the assailants trailed her?
The ones I've read, I think about 3 different platforms, also had the fact that she went for a senior staff party.
How do they know that the assailants trailed her?
Returned, and then found the following morning in that state.
But this newspaper is reporting details that they can't possibly have. It's not possible for them to know that she was trailed home. How do they know that the person wasn't already waiting there?
Maybe from
or she didn't come home with the person? How do they know all this? But please, we need that clip. It's important that we clarify what the police are saying about this. So please, let's play back the clip about this story from Josephine Asante. We played it during the AM news. Let's play it back and clarify before we move on.
This morning, we see a report at the police station concerning the suspected murder of Miss Josephine Asante. So police proceeded to the scene, and at the scene, we find out that the woman is lying on a supine position with cuts at the forehead and then at the chin and then at the back of the head. And then there was also marks of assault on the face. So after the inspection and then the necessary relevant activities that crime scene experts need to be done were all done, and the police conveyed the body to the police hospital for preservation and autopsy. A 12-year son was around, so we are here to speak to him. As for the houseboy, we've spoken to him. The place has been cordoned off, and we are placing police armed guard at the scene to prevent any entry to the place, and we started investigation into the issue.
That's the policeman giving us details. Did not mention gunshot wounds.
It said knife wounds, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what the police have said. Right. Well, I guess it's a good place to wrap this up. And,
absolutely.
Let's do sports, but there's so much more coming up, including AM Talk, where we'll have Andrew Mercer and Alassane Suhili. Stay with us.